everyone, it's Jennifer from Sparkle and Splatter. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful and simple little greenery wreath. I've been wanting a wreath like this for a long time to hang up because it's very neutral. You can really use it for any season. It's not specific to one season. And it's also nice and neutral to go with a variety of home decor. And it just adds a nice little accent and some texture to your walls. Or door, or you could hang it over a mirror, or you could even lay it down and use it as a centerpiece as well. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to break down your greens so that you have smaller pieces to work with and a little bit more control over the design of your piece. We're also going to learn how to plan it out, and we're going to glue everything into place, add a hanging loop, and it'll be done. This took me very little time to make, and it's a really fun project. So let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a pair of wire cutters, a hot glue gun, and some glue sticks. We're going to be using some greenery for this, for our greenery wreath. Now, I got some just kind of random green sprigs from the floral department, but this one I liked because it sort of had some berries and some other things. Looks like some little ferns. So it had a lot of like different textures in it, which I liked. So I got 2 of those, very inexpensive. And sometimes, depending on the seasonal appearance of them, you can get them on clearance when they're trying to move things out and bring in the new seasonal items in. And then I got a few sprigs. These came in pairs of 2. These are lamb's ear. So they have like a totally different, kind of like a sage green looking appearance compared to these. So what you'll need to do, oh, and in addition, we're going to be using a 12-inch grapevine wreath as well. What you want to do to begin, though, is we don't want to use the entire sprig on our wreath. We want to kind of break it up a little bit. So go ahead and take your wire cutters and just begin cutting your pieces. And you'll want to have smaller stems. You don't want this big, huge stem because we're going to be doing a little bit of tucking and overlapping. So just start to break up your greenery a little bit so it's in more manageable pieces, and you want to shorten up the stems a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So once you've had everything cut apart, you can see I have a lot more smaller pieces now that are going to be easier to manage. The other thing too is when you break things apart, see I've separated these fern-like ones, and I'm not sure about them yet. I'm not super wild about them. So I'm going to hold them aside, and if I use them later, fine. If not, they just kind of don't match to me right now once I've separated them. But I'm going to put everything over to the side here, and we're going to bring our wreath forward. Now I'm going to sort of separate these lamb's ear from these little berries. All right, so what you want to do next is sort of map out how you want your wreath to look. Now, you could do sort of like a spray and make it kind of just go off to the side. You could do a spray that kind of goes off the top or the bottom, or you can do an all-over look, okay? So this part's important because you want to sort of lay everything out and get a feel for how you want your wreath to look. And there is sometimes when you're working with these, there's a front and a back to your leaves. So just kind of sort of pre-plan what you're going to be doing. I want everything to sort of go in the same direction, in a circular way. So I'm just going to lay some of this out and just get an idea of how I want it to look. Now you also can let some of this grapevine wreath itself is also very pretty. So you can let some of it show through or not. It's up to you. It's really the kind of the look you want. And wreath making is really about just planning it out a little bit and experimentation. And a lot of times when I make wreaths, I arrive at something completely different looking than when I started. So I'm just getting a first kind of base of these little berries here, and I'm just tucking them in a little bit. So as we move around, you can sort of fill in some of these holes here that you see. And then what we're going to start doing is switching over to the lamb's ear. Now I'm still undecided about this yellow. I might kind of throw it in to add a little bit of color. And it does sort of look pretty once you hold it up to everything. But I'm going to continue sort of just tucking all this in. And this will make it pretty easy later too to glue. You just kind of lift it up, glue it, stick it back down where you originally had it. Okay, so we're just going to keep going around. And I'm just tucking them in between some of these branches. And I really love this wreath. I am liking how you can see the wreath through here. I do like that look. Okay. All right. So now I have all my berries in place, and that's sort of how I like to do it. I like to do all of one thing, then all of the other thing. Now, these are a little bit bigger. So if you do find, even though we've broken them down a little bit, if you find that some of your components are going to be a little bit big, so when I tuck this in, it looks a little bit big, what you can do is take your wire cutters and break it down even further, okay? And you'll have, the smaller your components are, the more kind of control you'll have over everything. And you can kind of go through and tuck all your leaves in next. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an idea of what I'm doing here. I'm just tucking the leaves in, and I found that smaller pieces of these leaves worked for me better. So then what you can do, and I do have a lot of more leaf work to do, but I want to show you, before we fill them all in, I'm going to show you how to start gluing this stuff as well. So what you'll want to do is just pick a starting point here, and you can pull it out, and then just put a little bit of glue on the stem here, and then just tuck it right back in where you pulled it out from. And I find that's the easiest way to keep everything the way you want it to look, but also, you know, everything will be in place and stay where you had it, and you know, how you had your design, and you can sort of just work around in a circle. And then when you're finished all this, we're going to reevaluate and kind of add some more if we need to, and make a choice about the yellow over here as well. Okay, so just kind of go around and start gluing it up. And again, I still have a lot of leaves here to add, but I wanted to kind of get the base of this this fern and berry stuff in first, and then we can start tucking these in into all the spaces as well. Okay, I finished gluing everything up, and it looks super pretty. I spent the last few minutes kind of just tucking some leaves in some areas. I do like how the branches kind of show through a little bit. You can sort of see the structure, and when it's on the wall, you will see some of it from the side. To finish up your wreath, if you have some of these little gluey hot glue strands, you can go through and kind of pull them off yourself with your hands, or a little trick is to quickly kind of go around it with a hairdryer. We'll kind of shrivel them up. So if you want to, you can lay this on the table and kind of, you can put a candle in it, make a beautiful little centerpiece, or I'm going to be hanging mine. So you'll want to figure out sort of the top of your wreath and the sides and everything, and grab a piece of ribbon. This is some twine that I had that I kind of like the way it looked with my wreath. And flip your wreath over. Make sure everything's cool and dry before you start messing with it though. And then what I'm going to do is just send it around my wreath where I'm going underneath of those leaves. And then I'm just fiddling with it a little bit to make sure it's going to be long enough. I'm doing double strands just to make sure it's strong. You don't have to do that though. And I'm just going to make a little hanging loop. I don't want it to show. If you want it to show, of course, make it longer. But I want it to be able to hook it onto a wreath hook. So I'm going to make mine pretty snug. And make sure your knot is nice and secure. And again, I did a double strand just to make sure it's super strong. You don't have to do that. But now we have a little, and you can spin that knot around to the back so you can't see it. And now you have a little loop to hang your wreath. And then once you're done, hang it up and just make sure you like the way it looks hanging up too. Sometimes I'll hang a wreath up and I'll notice it has like a little bit of a bare spot, or something looks like really heavy on one side and maybe I have a side that needs something kind of sticking out. I like how these kind of sprigs stick out. It makes it look like stuff is growing when it looks more natural. So just hang it up, kind of study it for a minute. If you need to tuck some more things in there, I had some leftovers. So what I normally do is throw them in a bag or something and save them for another project. They don't need to be thrown away. But if you need to tuck some more things in there, feel free. I ended up not going with the yellow. I'm going to save that for another project. I think this would look pretty for something fall, if you wanted to make something for fall or something like that. But I have all kinds of leftovers from wreaths over the years, and I've made new wreaths out of just leftover scrappy kinds of things like this. So just go ahead and save them. You'll use them if you enjoy making wreaths. So that is how you make this beautiful, simple little greenery wreath. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Sparkle and Splatter video updates. Thanks again!